has just been released, which means the Cloud Surfer 1 is much cheaper. The Cloud Surfer 2's come out. We're gonna review it. I'm gonna give you my initial thoughts after 2 runs. As you can see, I've got an on-running shoe problem. I have followed on-running very closely ever since the start of my running journey, and I'm a self-professed on-running fanboy, okay? So when the Surfer 2 came out, I thought I had to say a few things, so let's do exactly that. My name is Aubrey. I'm a very average runner, simply trying to be less average by the day. I'm good with being me. I really am. As at the time of recording this, look at this, let me move. 19,930 subscribers. We're about to hit 20,000 and I'm excited. But let's get to this review. We're about to talk about the Cloud Surfer 2 and why it's the perfect shoe, well, a good shoe for the new or average runner. Let's talk about it. All right, let's start with the disclosures because it's important that you guys know that On Running sent me this parcel here. Now this parcel had the On Running Cloud Surfer in it. There you go, the Surfer 2. And that's what we want to talk about today. Out of disclosure, I'm working on a paid campaign with On, but please trust, this review is strictly my opinion. I know I've said I'm a fanboy, but I will tell you some things that I think this shoe could have been better compared to the first one. I'm just going to give you my outright opinion. I started with telling you that the Surfer 1 is now much cheaper. I'll put a link to that in the description below because to me, the Surfer 1 remains unbeaten. Anyway, let's talk about the 3 things that you need to know about the Surfer 2. Let's start with the weight. Now, I might have issues with my scales. I'll admit that. I don't know. But I've seen a few reviews that say the second version is heavier than the first. When I weigh mine, it's the other way around. I got 275 grams in the second one and 280 in the other ones. I produced a short, and when I weighed the shoes, it was completely different weight. So I don't know what the heck's happening. But to be honest with you, I don't really care too much. It's not a weight difference that I care about in a daily trainer. In terms of the price, 150 pounds for version 2, 105 now, because I'm not going to tell you when it came out, it's irrelevant. But you can now get the Surfer 1 at 105 pounds. I found it at Sports Direct. That's crazy, especially on running shoe prices. Don't ignore that. Anyway, let's carry on. In terms of the stack height, this was a 10 millimeter drop. It's now 9. They've picked up the 4 foot. So it's 32 versus 23, whereas this was 32 and 22. Again, does it matter to you and me? I guess it does to some, but I don't really think it matters that much for a daily trainer. It will make improvements in terms of the efficiency of the shoe. I get that. Hey, listen, I don't normally do this, but if you like the videos, you like the review, consider liking this video. Go down there and then click on that thumbs up. But join me and subscribe to the channel. There is so much more that's gonna happen in 2025, and I would love to have you on board. I'm aiming for that 20,000 mark before I hit 2 years on YouTube, which is just mind-blowing to say. So please join me. It would be great to have you. Is this shoe a good shoe for someone who's just started running or an average runner just like me? And I want to argue that the Surfer line is exactly that, okay? Let me explain. This is your do-it-all daily trainer. This is that, but with a higher stack, is how I see it. Except this has a stiffening agent at the back, but that is essentially that with a higher stack, okay? Then you get a shoe like this. Innovation from On. It's a sprayed on upper. You get all of that. I always like to explain shoes with extremes. You've got a max cushion, daily trainer kind of vibe in the Eclipse. It used to be the Monster series. These 2 shoes here, at the time, were what was considered high stack, and we like that. I genuinely love the Monster. When this came out, this was one of my most used running shoes for that year. So they then brought the Monster Hyper, which I really liked. It got mixed reviews. That's cool, I don't mind. But my favorite shoe that On Running makes is this one here, the Eclipse, okay? But for that to be a bit more minimalistic and accessible to someone who's just started running, that stack height is a bit too aggressive for it to be your first shoe. Which is why I'm saying the Surfer series is perfect for someone who just started running. Where I sort of come into maybe a tough position to justify is the price. £150 can be expensive, but that's exactly why I said this is now $105. When the first Surfer came out, everyone said this was possibly one of the best running shoes On Running makes. That fact doesn't change just because there's a second one. This is still an amazing shoe, and £105, yeah. All right, anyway, we're talking about, this shoe. From the top, working our way down. Let's talk about the heel. This is that is the kind of padding I love in a daily trainer. In another video, I'll compare it to the version 1, but for now, I want to treat this shoe in its own merit and just give you my views. This is a perfect collar, heel collar. That is perfectly structured. It's very tough to push in, and the padding that you get here gives you that Surfer, very cozy and secure lockdown. I like this. I didn't have any heel slip. I didn't have any issues. All right, let's talk about the tongue. Not gusseted. Down points for that. Come on, you know we want it gusseted On Running. Come on, bro, come on. In terms of the breathability of the tongue, I think it's in uniform with the rest of the shoe. This is a very breathable upper. The website then says that they've made it even more breathable, which I really like. The lacing system. I feel like On Running's been listening to me. Now look, I say to them about this lacing system in the version 1. In the version 1, the top eyelets over there are these string things. I never liked those. They've updated the lacing system to just make them holes. Boom, simple. I like that about that. So it's a good upgrade. In terms of the lacing, not many things to say about it. The laces themselves work. I didn't have any issues. The only objections I have on the shoe are these two eyelets at the bottom. I wish we could get rid of those. And also, thank you for listening to just changing the eyelets and making them much simpler. I like that. All right, let's talk about the upper. I'm not really gonna say much. It's the same upper. Though they say they've made it and refined it to be breathable, there is no noticeable difference. I just like the upper, and that's that. However, when we talk about the midsole, I have to say this. I feel like running shoe brands are now starting to distinguish, especially because we had the max cushion era. I feel like On Running confused everyone when they had this, the Eclipse, and the Hyper. To make it clear, I feel like, and there's no point me just regurgitating what I've read in a book somewhere on a website or what another reviewer have said, I feel like On Running have been very intentional in making this a bit firmer. The Cloud Surfer 2 does not feel as soft, as cushioned as the Cloud Surfer 1. I think that's very intentional, and it's a very good move because it puts the Cloud Surfer 2 to be that daily trainer that is now going to be able to deal with your easy run, your tempo, and if you only have one shoe, you could then do your intervals in this shoe. It does have more of a ground feel. I think in the next iteration of the Eclipse, anything high stack, that's where you're gonna get the more cushioned feel, the softer feel. That's just how I feel. They can prove me wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll come back to you and I'll tell you about that. So shoes like the Hyper then serve that versatility, but with the board in it. So this doesn't have a board. Then there are gonna be some stiffening agents, a board. You're gonna have something like this on the underneath, but the Eclipse is gonna have that changed. I feel like the Surfer 2 has been slightly made firmer to kind of affirm its position within the on-shoe lineup. I say all of that to say the material is the same, but I feel like they've fine-tuned it to be firmer. This is where I want to give my feedback in terms of my views for the Surfer 2. I would prefer the softer feel. I always do. But for the on-running shoe lineup to make sense, this was a perfect move. And I'm with it. Bang, that's the outsole. They've said they've refined it by adding a little bit more rubber on it and getting it to be a bit more grippy. And that's fine. You're gonna see a bit more of the exposed midsole, the helium foam that we talked about just a bit ago. A bit more of that is exposed, but it's not exposed past the rubber bit. Also, it's not exposed to a point where I think is gonna impact the run and the ride of this shoe at all. I think for what this shoe is, excellent, especially at the price point of $150. But with the pressures of the Adidas Evo SL, the Mizuno Neo Zen, the Asics Nova Blast 5 coming in at that 130, 135 pounds, on running have kind of adjusted. And I think within the Cloud Runner or the other daily trainers within the On Running series, we need On Running to realize that their competitors are getting a bit more affordable. To play a big part within the running shoe world, I feel On Running will have to do the same. Who is the shoe for and should you buy it? Now, On Running has made a very big hit in the lifestyle world. And that's simply because they make amongst the best looking shoes in the running shoe world. And this is that shoe that you're not only gonna do your running in, you're gonna be out and around because it looks cool. It does look cool. This is a cool looking shoe. And from a lifestyle perspective, just looking cool, going around town, school run, picking up nappies at Tesco, this is it. It's a very good looking shoe. If you're out starting to do your running and you're looking for the On Running brand because you find them to be fashionable, this is the first shoe I'm gonna recommend for you. 150 pounds makes it reasonable in comparison to other On Running shoes, but I would say in terms of an average runner, a new runner, absolutely highly recommended. The 3 things that I think can be done better in version 3. Number 1, I would like it a bit more cushioned, a bit softer. Number 2, I would love to see these 2 eyelet things at the bottom actually gotten rid of. And number 3, like I always say, and I know a lot of people won't agree with me, gusset this tongue, bro. Do that thing. However, it's still the same Cloud Surfer we all love. Right, next video I'm gonna do is a comparison of this one and the version 1, okay? But for now, if you wanna watch the review of the first Cloud Surfer, I'll leave that here. And also, it's 105 pounds. You know what to do.